40,000 years old. The roofs are actually constructed of mammoth tusks.
You start adding some expense like that, and I'd be willing to bet that's something that doesn't take off.
Hey, welcome back to GrindWise. I'm Erle, and as always, I'm sitting here with my partner, Brent. Today on GrindWise, we're going to be talking to you, the guy who owns a roofing company, the one who's been out there grinding and doing all the work. We're going to show you some things today. We're going to talk about some things that maybe you don't know or other things that you're aware of, but actually combine some of those solutions. We're going to give you some free hacks, some free solutions that you may not have thought about. And as always here on GrindWise, Brent, we are ready to rock and roll. It's an exciting day here because we're talking roofing.
Yeah, that's, I always tell everybody, I did one roof in my life, and I was probably 19 years old, and it was 107 degrees, and it was 130 degrees on the roof, and I said, I'm never getting on a roof again.
So my son roofed for a while. My son Emil, he actually roofed for a while, and you know, it gets pretty doggone windy up there on some of those roofs.
Yeah.
We had a really, really scary moment. He was about 5 floors up. They were on a construction site, and he was rolling out, I don't know, it was the tar paper or whatever, the barrier. Wind caught it. He tried to hold on. It swept him clean off of the roof. He went all the way down and flat backed. His head missed one of those concrete border beams, you know, those things that they put up
Right.
in between traffic, by about that far.
Wow.
And he straight to the hospital. Super scary moment. I mean, just mad respect for the people that are out there doing that, keeping us from getting dripped on.
Well, there was, it was about 6 or 8 months ago, there was a tornado in, I think it was in Texas, and there's a whole bunch
Shocker.
of guys up on a metal roof, and they couldn't get off the roof. It was a big
Oh my
building,
God.
like a Costco or something. They were on that roof, and they all just had to lay down and hold on tight. But stuff was like flying over.
What do you hold on to
I don't know.
on a metal roof?
Yeah,
I mean, those things are like slides,
Yeah.
right? With really
But it was
bad
a- it-
implications on your butt.
it was
but-
it was a pretty flat roof. But they were, I'm telling you, there was probably 20 people, and they were all laying down, scattered out throughout the whole roof, and there's
Oh
just
my
debris
gosh.
flying everywhere. It was crazy.
That is scary. Yeah, it was a real scary moment for us. He actually got out of the hospital, went back to it for a little bit, but I was so glad when he stopped doing it, because, you know, as a parent, you get really, really concerned,
Right.
especially after something like that happens. But these guys that are out there doing this, whether it be the owner or the people that are working for them every single day, just a massive grind.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So
And dangerous, very dangerous, like you said. You know, that goes into a whole lot of factors in roofing, and why, you know, employee retention and things like that, you know.
yeah, I'll tell you what. Hey, a lot of people watch our GrindWise podcast, and they don't realize that we aren't the tech geniuses behind this. Big shout out to Blue Couch Studios here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Brandon and his team, thank you for helping us bring GrindWise to everybody. But today I want to talk to you a little bit about some fun facts. Again, me, you know, Mr. Fact person when it comes to these topics. I was looking into roofing, and I found some pretty interesting stories that I bet you didn't know.
All right.
All right.
Let's hear them.
So, oldest known roofs. The oldest ones that they've been able to find, you know, these people, they do archaeological digs, they go and they find prior civilizations and stuff like that. Guess what those roofs were made of?
I would say rock or mud or
Right? I mean, that'd be a good guess. That's probably where I'd go. Some of the earliest dwellings that they found, 40,000 years old, the roofs are actually constructed of mammoth tusks and bones from other animals. Then they covered them with hides, making that actually the oldest roofing that still stands, you know,
Well, that's-
in some aspects. But
it's like the you know, the Native Americans, they did what
yeah, they did hides and stuff
yeah.
like that.
Yep. So I mean, it's, I guess you think about it, that was the only thing they could think to use, right?
Can you imagine finding mammoth tusks?
No.
Oh my gosh.
No.
Up in Alaska, I was up there earlier this year, and they have some of those big mammoth tusks and stuff like that they've dug up there. Some of those things sell for $30,000, $40,000, $50,000, just the tusk.
And I know this has got to be true because I saw it on Facebook yesterday.
Oh, well, there you go.
But it was said they found a fully intact, frozen, obviously fully intact, woolly rhinoceros.
Woolly rhinoceros?
Yeah, it looked like a woolly mammoth, but it was a rhinoceros.
Really?
They had there was a picture of it and everything, but they said it was the organs were still intact because it was been frozen for that.
Where did they find it?
I don't know. I quit reading because I was like, that's probably not real.
All right, so if you're a roofer, you're probably sitting there going, okay, tell me something cool.
Right.
Tell me something. I don't want to hear about woolly rhinoceroses. Okay, if you're a roofer, what do you think the longest lasting roof ever made is? What do you think it's made out of?
Well, concrete? I don't know.
Well, I mean, we know the woolly mammoth tusks and hides 40,000 years,
Right,
but really the most durable roofs, people don't realize that were the metal roofs. And a lot of people don't realize that 1280 AD, they were made out of copper.
Oh, really?
They made copper roofs, over 7 centuries ago. And copper roofs, they still 700 years later, still standing.
Probably leaking a little bit.
I don't know. Copper tarnish. I wouldn't want to be the one polishing that roof, right? All right. So here's another fun one I found. The world's largest roof. And if you're a roofer, you're going, man, I wish I'd gotten that job, right? But is bigger than 63 football fields. It's the New Century Global Center in Chengdu, China. Has the largest roof structure in the world. It covers 1.7 million square meters. That's 18.3 million square feet, by the way, just in case you wanted to do the math.
How many acres is that?
Huh?
How many acres is that?
See, I didn't do an acres conversion.
Well,
you tell me the acres.
I don't know. That's why I was asking you.
63 football fields. I'm not sure. If you guys know, hit us up in the comments. Tell us how many acres that actually is. We'd like to know. So it's so massive, it creates its own indoor weather system with artificial sun. That's how big it is. That is insane. I wonder if it's a flat roof, pitched roof, or it's just all. I didn't look up and look at the pictures, but that's insane. That's huge.
Well, yeah, maybe somebody can look it up and put a link to it in our.
Oh, perfect. So you guys know Chengdu, China, right? It's the New Century Global Center in Chengdu. I'm hoping I'm saying that right. That's how it's phonetically. That's what it looks like. Chengdu, China. Throw it over in the DMs. We want to see that picture. I didn't get that far into the dive, but that's insane, Brent. That's huge.
That is huge.
All right. Did you know that some roofs can actually clean air?
Really?
Yeah. So they've created a type of ceramic roofing tile. It was developed in Europe. It contains titanium dioxide, which reacts with the UV light from the sun, and it breaks down nitrogen oxides in the air, which is a major pollutant, right? Think smog. In fact, 1,000 square feet of these tiles can actually neutralize smog created by a car driving 10,000 miles.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Think about that, right?
I bet that's not cheap.
I didn't look at that. If you're a roofer and you've actually seen these tiles, hit us up in the DMs because I'd like to know a little bit more on it. We can only go so far with all our businesses and try to dig these things up. But man, that's some cool stuff. Smog reducing or, cleaning the air with roofing. I mean, there's a lot of roofs out there.
Yeah, there is a lot of roofs out there, but I don't know. You start adding some expense like that, and I'd be willing to bet that's something that doesn't take off unless it's cost effective for the homeowner to pay for it, right?
Well, I wonder if there's for like these big, think Chengdu, right? If that was all ceramic roofing tiles, I wonder if there'd be kickbacks from the government or things like that because they have all those Clean Air Acts, environmental things. If that could get offset if people were doing that.
Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting.
That's another one. Look. If you're a roofer, you're watching this, we want to know. That'd be kind of cool. I'd kind of like to know that. But we're talking about smog, right?
Right.
So let's talk about LA.
All right.
Did you know that if all of the rooftops in LA were white, so painted rooftops that install like the reflective coatings in them, it not only lowers the building's cooling costs, but it can also reduce an entire they call them urban islands, right? Significantly, they say that if every rooftop in LA was coated with reflective coating, like these white reflective coatings, it would lower the overall city's temperature 3 to 4 degrees Fahrenheit.
Wow. Well, that's probably why it's so hot here in Tulsa.
Now, if you did ceramic reflective coating, You're getting 3 to 4 degrees cooler in LA. You're cleaning up some smog. I think it's worthy of talking about. So if you're a contractor, there's a business idea for you. Let's push that one out there. That would be kind of cool.
Yep. There's a whole lot of people that come up with some really brilliant ideas when it comes to roofing. I'll give you one that you probably don't know. I've actually met with these guys. They created they can print. I believe it was a printing deal where they could print.
Like that 3D printing?
No, it was so what they would do is like when a hurricane or a tornado would come through, they could take a Google image of of the house before the tornado and print or I don't know how they do it. I don't remember how they do it, but it's like kind of like a saran wrap for the roof, and they go out there and throw it on, so you're not out there nailing tarps. It fits on that roof. And
really?
they got some big government contracts. They were in Hawaii and Florida.
Like that stuff that you put over a boat wrap or something like that, and just.
Yep.
That's kind of cool.
To protect, and the insurance companies love it because it's protecting everything in the house while they're waiting on a roof. And what happens when a tornado or something hits a town or a hurricane? The roofers are busy and you're a month out. Yeah.
That's. My wife looks at our roof all the time. She's like, I wonder if we need a new roof. I'm like, we don't need a new roof. There's nothing like you leave it alone. Just quit it. Just leave the roofs alone. So we have a lot of people that work for us, Brent, you and I, across the country, that are part of the tryturing, the family of touring businesses, TJ and stuff like that. And they deal with a lot of roofers. I mean, we've helped a ton of roofers throughout our years in business with different solutions. But I'd asked them recently just to kind of audit. Talk to the people that you have roofing relationships. I want to know what the top 10 pain points that they're facing are. So you haven't seen this. What I gave you is a different sheet, right? But I got the stuff back. It was about 12 of them got back a hold of me, and we kind of put these things together, the top 10 pain points. If you're a roofer, tell me in the DMs if this resonates with you, because I'd like to know. I want to know if my team's doing the right job. But number one, they said the number one problem that they're facing out there in the roofing industry, and this kind of makes sense to me thinking about what you were just talking about and my son and his experience, but was finding and retaining skilled labor. They said roofing, obviously, is physically demanding. It's dangerous. We just talked about that. And it's not seen as really attractive work by the younger generation. So owners are spending an inordinate amount of time hiring people, training people, and dealing with turnover. As a matter of fact, almost every roofer that they talked to said good crews are like impossible to find right now. And I don't know if it's the climate, if it's the generation of people coming up. I raised my boys differently than a lot of them get raised nowadays. But to that end, if you were to think of, if someone was talking to you, right? Somebody went down like below one of our GrindWise and said, I want to talk to Brent, or I want to talk to somebody in Erle and Brent's team. And you had to come up with like a creative solution to tackle that. What would you do?
To tackle employee retention?
Yeah, finding and retaining skilled labor.
So I'll go back to my trucking company. I took care of my employees. You got to take care of them. You gotta, I see people all the time that, if an employee's having a bad day, have a conversation with them. Try to figure out what's going on. Take genuine interest in them. And I also set a couple of employees up to acquire the business later. So kind of like, and a lot of what most people are in the trades, they all want to do their own thing eventually. Right. They don't want to. Most of them don't want to work for somebody forever. So that's where you could, help somebody grow, scale, and then maybe you help them start their own division, and now you've got, a whole nother division with another owner.
So you're taking the people that are worthy within your business, like when you find somebody that shows promise, and actually positioning them like through some sort of internal mentorship type thing, to where they can either own a piece of your business or go out and scale on their own. But it's like a mentorship program. Yep. That's actually a really cool idea. All right, so everybody knows. I mean, we're kind of biased, right? We own tryturing. We own all the family businesses. We have lots of solutions. So how could tryturing parlay into that?
Well, if you were going to help them build and establish a secondary company or whatever, you could start them out with building the credit on the company, so when they were ready to take off, they had access to capital.
Right, so they don't run into those pitfalls that most people run into. Okay, that's actually good input.
Yep.
So All right, cool. So let's see if I can. I doubt I'll stump you today, but so the second one that came in, and I had to kind of categorize these. So they send me the emails, I get them all together, I start looking at them, like, okay, that one was probably more popular than that one, and I tried to put them chronologically together. But they said cash flow management, like it's a real pain in the butt for them, for people in the roofing industry. A lot of times roofers they'll front load all their payroll, right? Their materials, their equipment costs, and sometimes payments are delayed by customers. Like customer problems become the roofer's problem. Everything's all cool, fine, and dandy. They're getting a little bit up front, maybe they're getting a little bit in the middle, and then roof's done. Hey, congratulations, roof's done. Can I get that other third of the payment? Because that's where their profits and stuff come from. And the guy says, well, I just had to put my dog down last week, and I'm trying to make beef stroganoff tonight, and I just got sidetracked. I'll get it to you next week. Whatever they got going on, right? So owners end up kind of just feeling like, hey, I'm gambling. Every time I do a quote, I'm gambling on the person, and I'm gambling on the fact that I'm going to get paid. Everybody's going to do great wonders with rotten cucumbers. Oh, yeah, repair my roof. This is what I need. But then it comes time to pay the piper because you did a good job. If you're a roofing contractor, that was like a pretty common response that we were getting. So if someone talks to you, someone goes down, like they're on one of our GrindWise episodes, and they're like, I want to talk to Brent, I want to talk to Erle, I want to talk to somebody on our team. Give me an idea of, like, not the biased idea, not like tryturing idea, but if you were to go, you're just talking to, I'm a roofer, what would you tell me? How would you attack that?
How would I attack that? Well, a lot of roofers I talk to have investors, and the investors actually carry the load of the money out forward. So they're actually paying interest on that money, obviously, but that's how they're carrying themselves. So, that's outside of tryturing. That's what I would say. That's kind of general practice, is having an investor that will throw money in.
So you're saying go get an investor, somebody who backs the projects, almost like a pseudo factoring type deal, but with like a private equity investor or somebody, some private money.
Right.
Okay, and then you just have to be a steward of that. I mean, that sounds. I think that's a cool, inventive idea. I don't think a lot of people think about that. Like probably going, I don't even know who I'd go to. I mean, that's a good idea, Brent, but I don't even know who I'd go to. What would a tryturing solution be? I mean, how could we help somebody in that exact situation with cash flow management from the tryturing standpoint? They're a member of tryturing. What would they do?
Well, they would number one, get their business set up, structured properly, so that they look fundable on paper.
Everybody thinks their business is structured properly,
I know, but it's not. Get things set up correctly so that they can go get funding, and then there's 10, 20 different options where we could actually help them get funding. In the forms of lines of credit that are, maybe 1, 2, maybe even 0%. Just depends on where we get them and how they run their business, obviously. So.
Okay. Yeah, so I mean, just having solutions at your finger. I think the most common thing that we run into, especially when talking to people, we're in a different situation because we've spent years and years pulling contacts and making sure we have these connection points and stuff like that, and solutions that are broad scope for most businesses, things like that. I think that's probably what people run into. So here's a big whammy. And this one, I thought this would actually be right up there, maybe even in the number one spot, but rising material costs and supply delays. I mean, this is a huge problem. You're a roofer, you're dealing with shingles, underlayment, especially metal prices. That thing increases. It's a commodity, right? So it's going up and down. Then there's shortages, post-pandemic. That's forced a lot of people, roofers, to go and rebid jobs. And in a lot of cases, actually eat the losses associated with that. So again, they're gambling. You're out there, you're grinding, you're doing this hard work, you're fighting with getting, keeping crews on, and you're eating the cost because they're going, I'll just bid it again. And you think you have the money in the bank. So rising costs. So if we were to think about that, and I don't think that this is addressed a lot because we deal in a lot of different verticals, a lot of different niches of business. And I believe that is probably one of the most overlooked aspects of business, because the fear is you're going to lose a customer if you adjust your prices according to your actual raw costs. What would be the inventive strategy? I hit you with this, Cole. This is give me something. Give me a tip or a hack, or what would you say to the?
I would
roofers
say,
job?
you got to transfer the rising costs of the goods to the customer. You have to. I mean, you can't eat it. I mean, a lot of times these companies, operate in a 7 to 10% profit margin, and if the they bid a metal roof and the person waits, more than, they have to put a time on the quotes. Obviously, they wait 6 months and say, yeah, I want you to do it now, but now the metal's higher. You got to rebid that. You can't just say, okay, we'll come do it just because you need the work or want the work. You've got to increase your you got to make sure your numbers every single job you bid, and make sure you bid your job to cover the materials plus your labor plus your profits, because otherwise, we don't do it for fun, right? We do it to make a living.
Right. Okay. I would throw in there that, bundling and things like that, the stuff that you buy a lot of all the time, you need it for every job, working with your vendors to try to get bundled pricing.
All I can think of right now is Bundle Rooski.
Bundle what?
Bundle Rooski.
What's Bundle Rooski?
You haven't seen those commercials?
What is that?
It's State Farm commercial.
Oh, stop it. Here we go.
With Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid.
Yeah.
And then it was, instead of Fumble Rooski, it's Bundle Rooski.
Bundle Rooski. All right. So what would be a tryturing solution? Because we kind of threw out some free stuff there, and hacks.
I would say taking advantage of the complimentary profit touring meeting.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, because that's they'll look at your costs. They'll work with you on negotiating your costs from your material or from your suppliers. I mean, they'll find you just making those minor tweaks. They can find you six figures in your business if you're at least six-figure business, right? They're not going to come. They're not going to find the $50,000 a year company $100,000. I mean.
So we do that initial consultation for all of our clients for free, right? Yep. We did for years. It was $1,497 to actually sit down, because they walk away from this meeting going, oh, there's six figures I was missing in my business, but also walk away with the actual knowledge of how to go and capture it. And that's based on usually 3 or 4 KPIs that we know hit pretty hard in business. There's about 52 KPIs that just about every business should be looking at over time, but just by us addressing 3 or 4, we can usually find about 6 figures that are missing. So if people are looking at the rising costs, and how do I approach this with my clients, it's not the daunting thing that you think. Everybody thinks that, man, if I adjust my prices by the 4% that just got increased to me, I'm going to lose them. Right. McDonald's doesn't think that, right? They go, okay, yeah, we sold them for 99 cents. We sold 1 billion of them. We got 1 billion customers. We're doing pretty good. Beef went up a little bit. I got to pop it another 5 cents. Yeah, let's pop it 10. Let's double it, right? Nobody's complaining that they're paying $1.09 now for a burger. They're just going, I like McDonald's burgers. If you have the reputation and people want your service, I mean, it's definitely about selling yourself.
Well, that's that you just made an interesting point there. So, you raising your price to accommodate, which we know that everything fluctuates, right? So, and I know that people have to bid the job to get the job, but if you raise your price to the point where, you cover not only one, but maybe 2 hikes in price, then you only have to raise your price once.
That's correct.
Instead of twice. So
yeah, that's correct. And people actually understand. I mean, they feel the pain when they go into the grocery stores and stuff like that. But here's one of those pain points that businesses in general run into, and this came in number 4 on my list. That people, I don't even know what the heck to do. I mean, this is stupid. And I think we talked about on a previous episode that I just had this redone for our family. But high insurance.
Yep.
And liability premiums. I mean, roofing's, it's one of the riskiest trade. The mod factor alone is just usually pegged right at the top, right? Workers' comp, liability insurance, premiums are even no company's escaping the rising costs, and it's cutting into their profit margins. Now, you and I talked a while back, because I requoted all my stuff. I ended up saving $1,000 a month. My wife said, "Oh, we've been with them for years. Why would we change? We're premium members. They call us VIPs." I bet they do. They're making an extra $1,000 a month. But talk about that, right? What would you say to the guys going, "I'm getting killed. My mod factor's pegged. I'm dying on liability insurance costs"?
Yeah. So work comp for roofers is always going to be high. having a good, solid business credit score, and this is funny, is most businesses don't realize this, but if you don't have a business credit score at all, or you have a bad credit score, you're actually going to pay more for insurance. And in fact, it's when I talk to an insurance agent, they go, yeah, we look at their business insurance credits or business credit score when we do their insurance. And so, for me and the company I created that has no revenue, I actually am able to get less expensive auto insurance through that business. And when you separate your personal and your business, now your personal credit score goes up.
Right.
And so then when you have a good personal credit score, now your personal insurance goes down. Everything's based off of credit scores when it comes, not everything, but a big chunk of it is based off credit scores when it comes to insurance and getting bonded for big projects.
Right. What's funny is we think about this. I bet a lot of people out there, we run into it all the time, actually. So it's not even I bet. I know that contractors in general, they don't realize that one of the first thing above a county level type job that gets looked at is your business credit.
Yep.
And if you don't have business credit, you're probably going to get beat out by the guy who has been around for a year and did all the foundational things to be real in the eyes of lenders. So that's a huge piece. All right. So moving along, you're a roofer, you're out there doing your gig. Most people are pretty doggone good at what they do. They don't get into it because they're not good at it. But here's one area that never ties part and parcel to the trade that you're in, what you're actually good at. And that's lead generation, right? We hear it all the time. People are like, I don't even know how to compete in this world. I go to Google, I put in roofing. I got to parse through 84 pages of marketing ads and other people that have ranked higher than me before anyone finds me. It's not like the old days where you could put an ad in Yellow Pages and you can buy a half-page ad and you can come up top in the search when they open up that Yellow Page. For those of you that are younger in the roofing industry, Yellow Pages is a book that we used to get that was yay thick and it had every business around. And if you paid enough money, you could have a full-color ad in there. Anyway, I just digressed a bit. So word of mouth isn't enough anymore. It really isn't, because you still have to be relevant. Roofers have to compete with storm chasers, the big franchise outfits out there, lead gen companies online that are doing work for other roofers that are paying a lead gen company going, just get me leads, and they're getting put in front of them. A lot of them don't even have the budget to try to keep up with it, and it leaves them completely dependent on inconsistent referrals. Referrals only go so far, right? It's not like you do somebody's roof and they spend the rest of their life going, you got to get Mike to do your roof. Hey, Bob, you got to get Mike to do your roof. Bob's like, I don't need a roof. Why are you always talking about Mike? So
I find it interesting that, what a lot of roofing companies do is they actually have if they're a big enough outfit, or the owner does it, they have somebody that goes to networking events and they do outreach to realtors. And so, when people have to have their roof inspected when they're buying the house, or to have the whole house inspected, the house needs a roof, then they've got a roofer on standby. And then also, the insurance companies, those can be kind of a nightmare, because you're in that situation where you may not get paid for 6 months or whatever, which is again, goes back to the cash flow issue. But no, I mean, it's networking is they have to.
Networking.
In today's day and age, you have to network.
So associations, chamber of commerce, fraternal organizations, private country clubs, any opportunity to get in front of people and tell them what you do.
Home builders associations, stuff like that, because you run across, if you have a good reputation, and you go and you build a relationship with a realtor, that realtor, promise you, will send you a lot of business.
Oh, realtors. Okay, that's a good tip. I would say use ChatGPT, ask it for networking events in your area. Tell them to give you the contact information, things like that. Whatever area you're in, it will show you that. But what would be a tryturing hook on that? I mean, can tryturing help in that regard?
Yeah, there's several opportunities in there. I mean, as far as there's lead gen tools in there that person can utilize, but there's also the CRM marketing touring. That I can't tell you how many people are me that don't have a CRM. I always tell them, I'm like, in today's day and age, CRMs will run your ads, will help you run your ads, build funnels for you, email market people. And I always say, look, you're an electrician or a roofer. You come out and have you do a job for me.
Right.
You are ABC Roofing. Let's just call it that. Okay. You come out, do my roof, and I found you by doing Google, and you're at the top. Okay. Now, 3 years from now, I need another roof. And I go, what was that guy's name? What was that guy's name? And I Google, now XYZ Roofing's there. I'm like, that's it. And so I call them, and it's not the same guy. And you're not even on page one anymore because other people are running ads, right? So if you were emailing me once a month, some tip or trick or whatever, help you with whatever, and it could be something silly, but your roofing company stays in front of me when it's time for me to do a roof again, I remember you.
All right, so I'm going to share with you another one because I'm biased and I want you guys to know this. Have you ever thrown a party or went to a party? Which is more uncomfortable, going to the party or being the one throwing the party? It's always more uncomfortable going to the party, right? Because maybe you don't know everybody, but if you're the one throwing the party, it doesn't matter if you know them or not. As a Tryturing member, we actually open up the doors to our personal friends, Steve and Sarah Elliott, who own Rockstar Connect, and you can start your own networking event where you aren't going to the party, you're the one throwing the party, and they'll do all the marketing for you in your area, and you can actually get set up and start your own networking events. You don't have to buy venues, you don't have to do any of that. They will walk you through it. It's part of the benefits of being a Tryturing member, and it's special pricing. If you circled around and tried to become a Rockstar Connect client outside of Tryturing, it would cost you quite a bit more, but Steve and Sarah are friends of ours. Start a networking event in your own area. Start to get to know your community on a different level so they can get to know who you are. So that would be the tip that I would give them as it relates to this.
Yeah, that's a good tip.
So, gosh, which one do I want to go with? How are we doing on time? We are rocking up the clock here. All right, so I'm going to go through, we talked about insurance adjusters, right? That got brought up several times too, storm restoration roofers are spending a bunch of time arguing with insurance. I talked to a guy on the golf course yesterday that it's kind of like when there's disasters, they go and do all the remodeling. Mm-hmm. He said one of the biggest problems that he has is that the insurance companies issue the check to the person who's getting the work done, even though they're the one doing all the work. They have to go and try to collect, right? So, underpaid, denial claims, that means constant conflict, frustration, wasted time. When you're going out and replacing a roof, sometimes it's a pain in the butt to get paid for the work that you're doing, right? You got to battle with these insurance people. What would you say? What would be again, bam, hitting you cold. What would you say? I'm telling you this.
Yeah, so, I mean, again, it's going back to having the financial backing or the available funds in your own, access to funds yourself. That's what it boils down to. If you have access to funds, you can carry 6 months. You can carry,
that's true.
Mm-hmm. So if you feel like if you make enough money, working with insurance companies, it's one of those deals. You can go out and bid a roof every day, and hopefully you get a roof every day to do, or you can go, do the insurance side of things, and they're going to feed you leads. They're going to feed you, but it's more of a, I guess, consistent feeding. Mm-hmm. And what they're going to do is they're going to delay payments to you. That's just what they do.
Yeah. Okay. So you're a roofer out there. God, do we want to do a Tryturing tie-in on that or not? We can. I mean, we've got solutions for everything. I just let's move along because honestly, there's some things that roofers are dealing with, and it extends to the contract. But I heard this when our team was coming back, and I was like, "Yep." Look, weather, scheduling delays. Let's say you send out your estimator, he goes out there and bids a roof, and they're like, "Yeah, we'll do a tear off. We'll get this done." What's the customer say? How much is it going to cost? How long is it going to take? Then you go in, your crew comes out, you're like, yeah, it's going to take about a week, and we get a big storm.
Yep.
Okay. You've been into it for a day, but you get a big storm, you're held up, you can't do anything for 4 or 5 days. Then you go and you start doing the tear off, and you're going, okay, cool, here's tear off, and the wood's all rotted underneath. Now we got to replace all the sub deck on this. We got to fix that. Sorry, it's going to be more money, and it's going to extend the time. So you go about that, and another storm hits. And you got these delays. It's a big pain in the butt, right? And it negatively affects you because the customer's frustrated and they're going to Google and they told me it'd take 4 days and they've been here for an entire week. Why isn't
right.
it done? But what do you do?
So it makes me think about a excavation contractor that I saw posted on Facebook. He said he went out and bought a skid loader and a little mini excavator, and he was so fired up. He was starting his own business, and then here in Oklahoma, we got hit with like a month straight of rain.
Right.
And he's like, selling my equipment. Couldn't even go out and work to make the money. So, the weather delay side of things does affect the, obviously the business because they can't be up on the roof. I would say if you have a warehouse or shop or something, get some of your employees to do some, I know you can't really pay employees if they're not making you money, but get some of them to do some prep work stuff at the shop if you have some prep work stuff. So keep them busy so that maybe on your next project, you can cut some time off the project and make more money on the project.
I wonder if there's equipment that you can put on a pole, go up there and scan through the roof, see if there's any rot. If you're a roofer, that idea in and of itself, hit us up in the DM. Tell us if there's equipment that you can use to kind of forecast if there's any sort of dry rot. We'd love to hear from you. I'd also like to hear in the messages what haven't we talked about today that's nailing you in that industry, because it matters to us because we're all about finding solutions to stuff. But Brent, customer trust education, it was number 10 on my list. And I'm kind of breezing past a couple because they sort of tie in with the other ones. I mean, there's technology problems, regulatory licensing challenges. It just never ends, right? Being a business owner, but this one kind of hit me because, look, the reality is I'm a homeowner, you're a homeowner. A lot of times we don't even understand a roofing system in and of itself, right? We don't understand the pricing that's associated with, or why does quality matter? I mean, you'd think that'd be an obvious, but it's that education aspect of it. A lot of people just assume roofers are all the same, right? They're all exactly the same. So you're skeptical. So then we go to the lowest common denominator, the cheapest person, and roofers are constantly fighting this massive uphill battle to try to prove their credibility and earn people's trust. So what would you say to the guy who owns a roofing company? A free tip. This is free advice, unsolicited. You aren't being paid to be a coach right now, even though we get paid a lot of money to coach businesses. What would you tell them as it relates to building customer trust and education?
When it comes to building trust and with people is if you say you're going to do something, do it.
Okay.
And, if somebody's argumentative with you or upset with you, try to resolve it and don't get confrontational. I see that a lot. You get frustrated, you get upset, and now you're butting heads. Figure out a way to work through it. Be your own psychologist or whatever, counselor, whatever. Just work through your problem before you talk to the business or the homeowner or whatever. But I'd say that's a big thing, because if you have an upset homeowner and you go over there to collect your payment, they're going to be very upset with you. But if you go over there if you go in there with the right mentality, you can completely turn the thing around, and the person could be your biggest cheerleader.
All right, so here's what I would say. If a roofer calls me and goes, "Hey, Erle, I'm having problems with trust and education. I mean, I don't know if they trust me. I don't even know if they understand what the hell I'm doing." I would say slow your sales process. When you have an opportunity to quote somebody on a roof, you also have an opportunity to capture their trust through education. So I would say slow down the process and really explain to them, these are the steps. This is why each step should matter to you. And these are also the pitfalls that we can run into in the process of it so that they're not blindsides. I think people believe that the more quotes I get out there, the more opportunity that I have to make money. But the reality is, if they're calling you for a quote, they're also calling 5 other people for a quote. If you say the thing to the customer that nobody else is saying, and you spend the time to educate them on a process that they're not aware of, they're most likely going to trust you. And even if you're a little bit higher, they're going to work with you. And if you preemptively position it like, I could get in there and you could have dry rot, there could be a storm and it could take longer. I think the sales process gets lost in the idea that we're trying to gather as many leads. We've got an estimator going out there. You got to hit 5 quotes a day. Something's going to hit. Maybe we'll be less, maybe we'll be more. If you slow that sales process and really focus on educating your client, you're going to actually get some bigger wins.
Yeah, be the authority in your space.
Yeah. So what would we do as it relates to tryturing? We're talking to somebody about education and things like that. I just gave them a huge free tip. You did too. What would you say?
As it relates to that for tryturing, I would say I don't even know what the answer would be with tryturing on that.
Oh, really?
No, I don't. I have no idea where you're going.
Okay. Well, I love to stump Brent. That's when people have conversations with us. We always know somebody who knows somebody. The reality is, I could connect a roofer with somebody who could create an actual sales learning management process and actually pinpoint that. If they wanted to spend time with me or spend time with one of our coaches, I would actually hone in on what that sales process looks like and create a reconstruct on that sales process that would actually position them to where people know, like, and trust them. We're a for-profit company. We're not a non-profit company, but people contact us all the time. As a matter of fact, if you're watching this and you're interested in having some of those conversations, you can go down below this video. You can schedule on our calendar. You can download our free book. You can get all kinds of cool stuff from us. It's there. We don't mind. We do this so that you guys can learn some things and hopefully it resonates with you. But Brent, today we talked about roofing. Today we honed in on some of the pain points. We actually we had some fun stories, right? Copper roofs,
right?
Mammoth tusks and stuff like that. I wonder if you guys know that. If you got something that you want to add to that, tell us about it, because I am a collector of stories. I'm like the librarian of life. I love hearing stories, and so does Brent. But if you're a roofer and you're watching this right now, which I hope that you are, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe for more content, but also make sure you touch bases with us so that we can help you if you want the help. We're here for you. We love having those conversations, but we talked about some of the pain points. We talked about some of the solutions. We gave them some free tips. I'd say that's about a wrap for the roofing topic, but we appreciate you guys watching here today. Again, talk to us on the DMs. We want to hear from you. Make sure you hit that like, subscribe button, and we will see you next time here on GrindWise. I'm Erle. This is my partner, Brent, and we are out.